right, back at it. Get Warrior Tough. Leadership and mental toughness coaches Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman. I'm going to use the Twitters. Hit us up on the hashtag GetWarriorTough. You can find Dutch at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. The website is GetWarriorTough.com. All right, Dutch. There's just literally an infinite number of examples of things that aren't fair. I would like to start off. So this past weekend, we were down at the Citadel, and it was Parents Weekend, which is really cool. So, being on that campus, it's one of the greatest places on earth, in my mind. It's, the incubator for the warrior culture down in Charleston, which is also, double greatness. But down there, so the freshmen, the knobs, that first year, that first semester, they have to stay in the barracks every night. There's no what they call overnights. No overnights. Except, unless you're an athlete or an athletic trainer, you can get an overnight. And the trainers,
nice.
the water boy, right? They get the overnight. And the knobs that aren't athletes, they look at those guys. It's like, oh, I play badminton and I got an overnight. And then the badminton water boy brags about the overnight and how they got to go home. And then all the other knobs in the battalion, there's 5 battalions. All the other ones, they what do they say, Dutch? That's not what.
It's not fair.
Yeah, so they don't like those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, if you got the overnight, what if you got, the commandant came down and said, hey, you know what, you did a great job. Here's the overnight. Are you going to not take it because everybody else didn't get one too? What'd they say?
Absolutely not.
Right, they didn't say nothing because they don't want to answer. So they'd be like, right, so this is there's the deal with this is the big cookie, this is the grape and the cucumber, the big cookie and the little cookie is, it's not fair. Unless it was you, it's like Fast Pass at Disney. As soon as you got the Fast Pass, you ain't turning it and giving it to somebody else in the line, because who in the line are you going to give it to? And if you just picked somebody at random to give your Fast Pass away, what's everybody standing around those people going to say about?
That wasn't fair.
That wasn't fair. How did you decide to pick them? Because that's not fair. Right?
Yeah, and that's where we exist, man. We exist in that space. The majority of us exist in that space, and we spend less time trying to figure out how to get there. We spend more time, diagnosing and complaining about how something's not fair and less time to figure out how to get to that spot, right?
Isn't that absolute truth, man?
The average-minded person, that's where they exist. They don't exist in solutions. They exist in what the problem is, and they exist in long discussions about the problem.
And how it ain't fair.
Elite warriors, they exist in the realm, near the solution, because they're working towards the solution, so they're always somewhere near that solution. That's where they exist. The solution is nearby. It's within reach. They're just putting that work in to get there. When you exist amongst the problems, you're nowhere near the solution. You're not within arm's length. You hadn't thought about it. So you're so far away from the solution that you're stuck there. You're trapped there.
Right, and you're stuck in the sand trap of fairness. You're complaining that something isn't fair, or it is fair, it's unfair. Let me ask you this question. Listeners, if you're saying something isn't fair, while you're sitting there asking or complaining about fairness and having that discussion in your head, is that helping you move closer to a solution, or is it hurting you from moving closer to a solution?
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that we don't do, and it's very simple. It's very simple. I need people to get this. There are more people who are mired in the problem than are looking towards a solution, because sometimes the solution is just a question. It's just a question. So if I see you with a fast pass, I have no idea about the fast pass, and I see people moving up to the beginning of the line. This is my first time at Disney World. I see people moving up in this fast line. I'm sitting there arguing about it, saying it's not fair. That's not fair. How's he doing that? That's not fair. We're way back here. When someone needs to just say simply, how do I get a fast pass?
Right?
That's it. My first time here, I didn't know how you get. Now I know. I walk over and I get a fast pass, and then I go get in that line. But there were people, from an analogy standpoint, that would stay in that line for hours without never asking the question, how did that person get a fast, or how do I get a fast pass?
Yeah, they're just complaining
sit-
about the other person getting ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where we are in life a lot of times. We sit there and we complain without ever having asked the question, how do I get a fast pass? Or figure out, how do I get that benefit? How do I get to that place? How do I get in that space? I'm too busy arguing and fussing and complaining about where I am and never trying to figure out how to be where I'm trying to be, how to get where I'm trying to go.
Okay, so here's another one. So my kids, right, they're in school and they're little, and they're like, well, so-and-so's the teacher's pet. They like them. That's great. If you want to be in that spot, then do what you need to do to get the teacher to like you.
Do you enjoy the benefits that they're getting? Yes. I enjoy the teacher giving me attention. I enjoy the teacher liking me. I enjoy the perceived benefits in my grade. Okay, so you like all those things. How did that person get to that point? Whether they behaved, whether they went the extra effort to get in that space, whatever it is. Okay, so now are you willing to do that in order to get all the benefits that you perceived are so good? That's where the problem occurs, right there. Because am I willing to do what it takes to get there, or would I rather spend my time complaining about it? That's the thing. And the truth of the matter is that more people are content with complaining and not doing the work to get there. That means I have to be nice to the teacher. That means I have to respect the teacher. That means I have to turn on my homework. That means I have to get to class early. That means I have to behave a certain way in class. I got to do all those things.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
If you want all the perceived rewards, then this is the path, right? And that's the problem. The path is the problem. We don't want to admit it. It's that we don't want to do the work to get there. Now, so I've come up with a solution, and I want to go there. I want to get some of that. I don't want to just watch somebody else get it. I want to get some of it, and I go do it.
You just said like so much in that little blurb right there, but it is totally the key to success in life. Life is not fair. I get it. Now, how can I use it to my advantage? And that's to go do the things that I need to do to get the benefits that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said about Disney, here's the deal. When you look at someone who has a fast pass, if you know the system, you're not going to say I'm gaming the system because you know how the fast pass system works. But if you're standing in the line and you don't understand how the system, you go, oh, they're gaming the system. They're gaming the system. Until you know, when you say that somebody is gaming the system, all you're doing is letting me know that you don't understand the system. Because if you did, you would be doing it too.
Absolutely.
So why do we look at like, gaming the system is bad? That's ridiculous. For you to look down like you're mad at Trump for gaming the system. But he wasn't even gaming the system. I mean, he didn't lobby to put that system in place. He just used the system. And I got to be honest with you, Dutch, I've used the system because when I'm getting the business off the ground, we take losses. It happens. Right? I mean, because I'm taking the risk. And at the same time, why are you mad at Hillary? Because her people know how to talk to the press, and we know that, and get the information and know how to do that stuff. Why are you mad at her? Because that's the system.
Yep, and if you look at people in your own work that you believe that are getting benefits and that you want or that you rather have that you're not getting access to, how oftentimes have you asked yourself, how can I get there? You spend more time complaining about Joe who's at work, who's getting all these benefits, and you hadn't asked yourself once, what do I need to do to get there? And are you willing to do that? So if you're not willing to do that, then you win, right? You're better than Joe because Joe had to do all this stuff that you're not willing to do anyway. So aren't you better off or at least equal to Joe because he had to do all this stuff that you aren't willing to do to get there?
No, it's otherwise, not fair. No, it's not fair.
Yeah. Otherwise, you do all the stuff that Joe did, and then you enjoy in the same place because that's how it works, right?
Right. It's just mind-boggling to me, and so it's a downward spiral. You get into this, the monkey with the cucumber. Now, it's mind-boggling to me that people would look down on somebody for doing their homework and figuring out how a system works, and then, to the best of their ability, thrive in the system. I used to say this, Dutch, when I was growing up. This is back, and I grew up during the Cold War. This is before your time, I know, where we still did nuclear drills and stuff. It was funny. In elementary school, we'd go out in the hallway and, squat down and put our head between our knees. Like, that would help if a nuclear bomb went off, right? But listen, man, I'm a Marine combat vet, and then I was a cop and a federal agent, and I worked for the State Department. And basically my entire adult life, I've been in service of this country, some way, shape, or form. So I would consider myself a patriot. But if I was born in Soviet Russia, I would have been Andropov and the director of the KGB, or a KGB agent, or a Spetsnaz, and I would be a card-carrying communist, because that's the system that I was born in. And I'll tell you what, I'll be at the top of the system. I'm going to figure out how the system works, and I'm going to use it to my advantage.
And guess what you can do within that system, even a communist system? If who you are to a core is someone who wants to help people, you can even do that within that system.
Absolutely.
Because you can gain power.
Yeah.
Yep. You can gain power. You can gain influence. You can gain prestige, respect, all those things, even within a corrupt system, and then use the power and prestige you have to help people. But the other alternative is not be involved in the system, not do anything, and then you're helping no one.
Right.
So that's what we find ourselves most of the time. We fight the system instead of learning the system and dominating the system. Who plays Monopoly without knowing all the rules? Who plays any board games? Well, first thing you do is you open up that paper and you start trying to figure out the rules. Now, no one says those rules are fair. It's just a random set of rules that somebody came up with.
This is what normally happens that I've seen. That they start to look at the rules. They say that game's too complicated, and then we go to do something that we already know.
Right.
So we don't even enter the system or the game that we don't understand, and we don't take the time to try and understand it. And so we just default back to something that's easier or comfortable.
But isn't any board game something that you or I or someone like us just came up with that we thought would be fun and interesting? We drew up a arbitrary set of rules to give ourselves a parameter, and then we entered into the game. And we played it based on those parameters, right? And the reason we were able to enjoy it and operate in the game is because we read the rules. Now, we're going to beat someone who just sits down with us and they didn't read the rules. They don't know what's going on, and we don't share. They're not going to have much fun. They're not going to want to play the game again. They're going to be angry,
frustrated, angry.
They're not going to like me, the winner. They're not going to like me, the person who read the book, read the rules.
Then they're going to kick the board over and say, "I'm going home. You're a cheater."
Right. Now, in all that, all they had to do, I know we got about 30 seconds left. In all that, all they had to do was say, "Hey, what are the rules to the game? How does this work?" And then I hand you the rule book. You get to work, and it's done.
Brilliant.
And then you can then enter the game and have a better chance of winning, right? But that's not what we do.
No, that's not what we do, but it is that simple. We're up on the break?
Yep.
All right. Listen to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch and Andrew, and I'll tell you this, life ain't fair.